Hello and welcome. I'm Eric Gao, and here's what happened this week. We started off this week remembering one of the darkest periods in Taiwan's history. February 28th was Peace Memorial Day. It commemorates the government-led massacre that took place in 1947, which led to decades of martial law. While most people were enjoying a long weekend, others were holding events to make sure that they remember the struggles that Taiwan has overcome. Bing Wang was at one of those rallies in Taipei.
A rose for the victims of a brutal turning point in modern Taiwanese history. This is one of many rallies happening throughout Taiwan today, the 28th of February, when people here commemorate what's become known as the 228 incident. 76 years ago, the ruling Kuomintang, or KMT, brutally suppressed anti-government uprisings across Taiwan, killing tens of thousands of people in just a few weeks. This is a flashpoint of where it all started. Government forces struck a lady trying to sell illegal cigarettes and then fired a bullet into the air, killing an innocent bystander. And as the crowd became angrier, louder, the government tried to shut down the protest with violence. That led the KMT to enact martial law for 40 years, a period known in Taiwan as the White Terror. In that time, any mention of the 228 incident could get people thrown in prison. Even rallies like these would have been quickly and sometimes violently dispersed. But now people have the right to freely demonstrate and make their voices heard.
我觉得台湾的民主算很年轻，但是我们一直在正确道路上面发展。
你看我们像现在可以投票，其实过去我们很难想象在白色恐怖时期，我们不能投票，我们不能自由的出门，然后可能要面对很多的言论不自由。
In the southern city of Tainan, President Tsai Ing-wen reiterated her commitment to a democratic Taiwan.
今年1月成立的权力维护基金会，在几天前完成首批审核的作业。这是政府首度全面以赔偿，而不是以补偿的态度，诚心修复不法的侵害，让台湾人尊严的活，是纪念228最好的方式。
Taiwan has shed its authoritarian past to become one of the freest democracies in Asia. The country now wants to ensure this dark period in history won't be repeated or forgotten. Howard Zhang and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
So how did Taiwan go from violent suppression and martial law to the democracy it is now? That's thanks to the efforts of activists like Chen, who is now a top government official. She sat down for an exclusive interview with our reporter, Jeremy Olivier.
Chen is a towering figure in Taiwan's political scene. A former mayor of the southern city of Kaohsiung, Chen now heads the Control Yuan, the country's top government watchdog. The role also puts her in charge of the National Human Rights Commission. It's a fitting position for Chen, who was a dissident during Taiwan's decades under martial law. In the 1970s and 80s, Chen worked with other activists to push for democratic reform. They eventually founded the Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, Taiwan's current ruling party. Chen says they were influenced by the events of February 28, 1947. That day, people in Taiwan rose up against the government before facing a brutal crackdown. It became known as the 228 incident. The violence led to a long period of repression called the White Terror and created a climate of fear.
因为228事件的影响，让台湾社会没有人敢讲话，没有人敢讨论，所以每个人在从事台湾民主运动的过程，充满着压力、恐惧，随时都要做黑牢的准备。我想这不是一个正常的社会。
In the years since Taiwan became a democracy, Chen has watched the country struggle to account for the abuses committed under authoritarian rule. That process is often called transitional justice. In 2018, Taiwan established the Transitional Justice Commission, fulfilling one of the major goals of President Tsai Ing-wen's campaign. The commission worked to investigate Taiwan's undemocratic past until May last year, when it was disbanded. But Chen says that transitional justice in Taiwan is still not done. That applies even to the 228 incident.
228事件到今天， 中间还是有很多的事实没有厘清。那我们在整个228事件没有追究加害者，加害者在哪里？我们有那么多人死亡，有那么多人家破人亡，有那么多人被迫流落在国外，但是到底加害者是谁？
Chen says many documents and pieces of evidence related to the White Terror have been withheld or destroyed. She says this has allowed some people to escape accountability.
如果在关键的证据，当时的国家暴力情治单位没有勇于承担负责，所以事实的真相永远不会厘清。这样永远不会厘清所以转型正义就是中间有太大的缺口。
As head of the National Human Rights Commission, Chen says she's fighting to address injustices in Taiwan and around the world, though Taiwan is blocked from international organizations that would help it play a bigger role. Part of the Commission's work is monitoring Taiwan's progress on UN human rights covenants, even though Taiwan is not a member state. For Chen, protection should extend to the nearly 700,000 migrants working in Taiwan, who face constant discrimination and exploitation. She was confronted with this issue on a recent trip to Europe. Leaders there criticized Taiwan's handling of migrant worker rights.
我们要求要来改善外籍移工的人权，保障他们的基本的工资待遇，还有应该一种人道在远洋渔业的船上要有一些人道的基本的设施设备，让这些移工受到有安全的保障。
The continuing abuse faced by migrant workers is proof that Taiwan still has a lot of work to do to protect the human rights of everyone in the country. But Chen says that goal is an ideal worth fighting for. Rick Yi, Patrick Chen, BT Zhuang, and Jeremy Olivier for TaiwanPlus.
A report broke late in the week that grabbed a lot of attention. On Friday, a Japanese media report claimed that almost 90% of Taiwan's retired military officers have provided intelligence to China. While Taiwan officials quickly denounced the report, it has reignited debate over the threat posed by espionage. Jaime Okan has more.
This report from Japan's Nikkei newspaper says that up to 90% of retired Taiwanese officers have provided intelligence to China in exchange for money. It cites unnamed military sources for its claim. The lurid accusation prompted Taiwan's Minister of Veteran Affairs to issue a heated response.
怎么会连日本人都来侮辱我们呢？所以我回了一句很不好听的话，我说放他妈屁！有违反了国安的法令，我们会退除他的退出，就是停止他的退出。太好了。
It's far from the first time Taiwan's military has faced accusation of spies in its ranks. Numerous cases have come to light of China bribing both active and retired military officials in Taiwan. They are usually lured with things like expensive trips and money. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory, and in recent years, Beijing has stepped up its military aggression with threats of invasion. And that means both sides are desperate to know what the other is planning.
The intelligence agencies on both sides made many attempts and efforts to recruit sources from the other side. Taiwan does it, China does it. It's just part of what countries do in peacetime to adversarial forces.
Taiwan's military has cracked down on suspected espionage cases in recent years. That includes increasing fines and jail time for those caught providing information to China. But the country's defense ministry dismissed Nikkei's claims that 90% of retired officers are providing intel.
以不明的消息来源质疑国军卫国忠诚度，相关的报道凭空杜撰，没有经过查证，就以耸动标题污蔑国军官兵气节，分化部队团结。
While Taiwan's authorities have firmly rebutted the numbers in this report, the problem of Chinese spies in Taiwan is something the country's military says is a serious threat. And analysts say that Taiwan should reinforce security within its ranks.
It's very likely that they still have some sources, some spies within right now that we're not aware of. And generally, I think the focus should be on the the information security practices within the military.
While Taiwan bolsters its defenses against external threats with things like fighter jets, tanks, and weapons, the military will also have to be on the lookout for threats within the country's own borders. Damon Lin and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. is selling Taiwan more weapons. Washington has agreed to sell fighter jet missiles to Taiwan worth more than $600 million. The deal includes 300 guided rockets for Taiwan's fleet of F-16 jets. 200 of those are for air combat, and the other 100 are designed for attacking radar systems on the ground. The missile sale from Washington still needs to be approved by Congress. Taiwan expects that to take about a month. Taiwan says the missiles will help it defend its airspace from what it calls threats and provocations from China. A magical Taiwanese fairy has been charming audiences around the world. The fantasy comedy short film Tank Fairy tells the story of a glittery drag queen who delivers gas tanks and also inspires a young boy to be himself. The film was shot in Taiwan with an all-local cast and crew, all local except for one person, the director. Eric Redstadt was born in the United States, but has lived in Taiwan with his husband for 5 years. Tank Fairy has already won more than 20 awards and been shown at over 100 film festivals worldwide. It most recently won the Asia Pacific Queer Film Festival Alliance Short Film Award in Australia. To learn more about the making of Tank Fairy, our reporter Philip Broussard spoke with the director.
How did you get the idea for Tank Fairy?
Tank Fairy was inspired by and made in collaboration with the queer community here in Taiwan. And one of my favorite performers was Marianne Masula. And just week after week, I was, hypnotized by her performances. And I knew that I wanted to collaborate with her on a project. And then I was just kind of trying to figure out what was the story. And that's when gas tanks enter the picture and the gas tank delivery person. And one morning, when I was literally woken up by my doorbell for a gas tank delivery, I got to thinking, well, what if we, drag up the gas tank delivery person? This is a typically male-dominated profession. So, how can we subvert that, gendered class stereotype while still honoring the essential role that they play in Taiwanese society? And so, out came Tank Fairy.
Is there a reason that you felt this film needed to be made right now?
There's a couple of reasons. Obviously back in the States right now, there is a wave of anti-LGBTQ legislation being passed, primarily targeting trans youth, non-binary youth and their families. And so, this is a more recent development, but this is a story about embracing your authentic self. And it's about the Tank Fairy's relationship with a 10-year-old boy who she delivers gas to. And so it's a story of empowerment. And I think that kind of story is always important to tell, and especially topical now, sadly. Another reason why is because I wanted to help create a new platform for the Taiwanese queer community here and showcase the incredible, drag performers such as Marianne.
And you mentioned that this is going to be turned into a series. So looking forward now for the final question, what can you tell us about that?
Tank Fairy is a proof of concept for a half-hour musical comedy series entitled Fantasia. And the series builds upon the short by creating this world of drag queen and king protagonists in everyday Taiwanese settings. And we're currently developing that and hopefully be coming to a screen soon near you.
That was Philip Broussard speaking with Tank Fairy director Eric Redstadt. Thank you for watching Here's What Happened. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the TaiwanPlus app. Finally, enjoy these shots of various wildlife at the Taipei Zoo to mark World Wildlife Day, which was on Friday. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and see you next time.